welcome back to yet another episode of Entertainment Involved. This is going to be an involved review, and as you can see here, we have the podcast assembled. On my right here is Ace from the Superhero Homies. Welcome to the show.
Always a pleasure to be here.
Yo.
I have Loren from Coffee and Lore.
Always fun.
And then last and also least, so we have Oz from the Tavern Notice.
Hey! Yeah. What's going on?
Just to warn everybody at home, this is bound to be completely ridiculous.
Probably knowing us.
This might be halfway between like a normal episode of this and like the rough cut that we recorded on the way back from Charlotte, which I don't necessarily encourage anyone to listen to, but it is out there if you want to.
And possibly a hint of the episode that of the Superhero Homies that me and Kevin kind of went nuts on.
Or the Creed 3 review, where in you guys' honor, I intentionally derailed his show at least 15 times or so.
And I was not present for any of those, so I'm just along for the ride.
Well, you just got catching up to do.
I apologize for any stray bullets you might catch tonight.
That's okay. That is A-okay. I got my vest on. I'm good.
Yeah, this feels super casual because we don't have on headsets and stuff, but this is probably the easiest way logistically to do it. However, we do have an item from the shelves because this week, we have to have an item. You don't know what this is, except that you can see the title of it. Basically, this is going to be us selling Ace on Mistborn: The Final Empire, which is what we have here, and I'll put in some nice up close shots of it. But the reason I decided to go with this book is that this is actually the first time that I've pulled a book down from the shelves, which is craziness.
Yeah, right?
So what better to start with than this leather-bound edition of Mistborn, which, Oz, you have just
finished like last weekend, yeah.
You can't read.
You're right. That's why I listened to it.
There's a whole episode of the Tavern Notice Board about gatekeeping, and we don't gatekeep people when it comes to books.
Even ones who can't read?
Well, listening to the audio is just as good as reading the book.
Okay, all right.
It is.
I will die on that hill, sir. Because I am an avid reader, yes. I'll read 10 to 15 books a month, depending on the size, length, etc. I have women in a group that I'm in who post 40 to 45 books a month, and I'm thinking, my God, how? My God. And they're listening on Audible at like 3x speed. And I'm like, are you even enjoying this book at this point?
Right.
So I think that, absolutely, Audible is great in some situations, but if you're abusing it, it can be abused.
I listened on 1 times.
Yeah.
Like, I don't do that fast listening stuff. I can barely pay attention to the slow.
I can't speed up any of the Cosmer books. I need to hear Michael Kramer's sultry voice.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Although, I will say, he will put your ass to sleep because that voice is just so
he did that
soothing.
Once.
Yeah.
He also sounds like the voice actor who plays Garrus Vakarian.
Yeah. So
he sounds like
Garrus reading you an audio book,
That's pretty soothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
It could be more than reading it to you.
Oh God.
Could have got it wrong.
That's the 3X. That's Morton right there. I can't pay attention to anything he's talking about. But so you just finished Mistborn, man.
Did.
What would you like? What's your 30-second pitch to somebody who has never read it before?
A 30-second pitch.
Sell Ace on reading.
You have amazing, awesome magic system. You have some dope-ass fight scenes. And on top of that, you have a rebellion rising up against a great empire. So, personally, I think that's right up your alley, my dude.
You did it in 15 seconds.
Yeah, and I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah, I would say that the action scenes are probably Sanderson's strong suit. I don't know that anybody else does magical fighting in quite the way that he does it. If I have to say there's something that he's better at than I think anybody else I've ever read. You might disagree with that. You read a lot more books than I do.
I think he does it really, really well. I really like R.F. Kuang's fighting system. There's a couple out there, but I think he is definitely in the top.
Yeah, he makes it very easy for me to visualize what happens in a battle or whatever. And right. That's always something that's even in some TV shows that they have a hard time with fight choreography and stuff like
right,
that.
Right, yeah.
We've all seen movies and stuff where there's just all these quick cuts and you can't even tell what's going on.
No,
You know, so-
absolutely.
It's like trying to watch a Dragon Ball Z fight without the slowed down moments where they smash into each other.
Yeah,
Like-
it's like what just happened?
It's like
They just saved a bunch of money on the effects budget. That's what.
that's what it was. Yeah,
But yeah, that's
and they gave it all to Game of Thrones season 8.
Yeah. So. Oh God.
Moving right along, this is still a very beautiful book.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's definitely the coolest copy of it that you can get. This is like $100. So yeah, you gotta be an avid lover to grab one of these, but yeah, it's absolutely.
I
beautiful.
now appreciate the gorgeous one on my shelf even more, sir. Thank you so much.
The book she's talking about is right behind her there. It's Warbreaker.
Yeah, Warbreaker.
And that is like I think that is the most beautiful book, like just like
Visually,
cover-wise.
oh
Yeah.
gosh, yeah.
Just the purple and everything on it. It
so
does
pretty.
a really good job. So yeah, next time you're on, we might have to pull that one down.
Yes.
However, if you clicked on this episode, we are not necessarily here to talk about Mistborn. Unfortunately, we are here to talk about The Last of Us. We're here to talk about some trauma.
The most depressing hour of television I've watched in some time.
Yeah.
The most depressing 47 minutes, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I need more.
So I will go ahead and put this out there. Spoiler warning for the entire first season of The Last of Us. We're not going to talk anything for the video games today, though. So if it wasn't in the show, we might like allude to some things, but we're not going to like spoil anything. Loren has not played the second game.
I
And
haven't played
nearby.
any of the games.
right, and well, you know everything that happens now pretty much in the first one because the first season is like
Yeah.
pretty
Oh, okay.
contained. But
And
the
it like follows pretty closely.
Yeah.
yeah, they stuck the ending. So we can get into it. Like my opinion of this show is that pretty much everything they've done it better than the game did it. And I think the ending is right there too because my biggest complaint about the ending, they actually kind of solved it, or they at least made it a little more believable in the show. So yeah, I
I think I
think
know what you're talking about too. Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, we'll get into that. But yeah, I think that the ending, even though I knew it was coming, it still was just heart
Oh
wrenching.
man, like, oh yeah, it was so good. We'll get there though. We'll get there. I'll expound.
We will get there. So going into this, Ace, I mean, you're a big fan of the games too. Like, did you think that they would stick to the ending this closely?
There were a few warning signs early on in the series that had me thinking maybe they wouldn't. I was pleasantly surprised to see that they did a really good job with the finale. So I mean, as a whole, I really enjoyed this last episode. There were a few things here and there that one could nitpick on. One that I did nitpick on.
Of course you
Okay.
did.
Yeah, of course I did. But I mean, as a whole, I thought it was a great finale.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. So let's talk this opening scene. I actually did not know that they were going to have Ashley on.
I definitely knew that. I just didn't know where they were going to put her.
Yeah, I didn't know until like she starts like talking, and I was like, "That's Pike."
It's Pike Trickfoot.
Yeah. Which if you're watching at home and not sure, that is her Critical Role character. And you can check out Legends of Vox Machina on Amazon, and then you can listen to Tavern Notice Board review it. So
Yes.
Oh, that actress who plays her mom is Pike?
yeah,
Yep.
that's Pike. Yeah,
Ashley
yeah.
Johnson.
Yeah, that's Ashley Johnson. I knew the voice immediately, and she's also the actual voice actor for Ellie in the games.
And mocap, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So she's like the original person to play Ellie, and I was just like, she actually does kind of look like Bella Ramsey a little bit, which was weird.
Well, like honestly, she's actually a blonde. Like her hair is like super blonde. So like it was nice to see them actually change her hair color for this.
Yeah, but when they changed it, she kind of looked like she could be Bella Ramsey's mother. You
That's
know?
a fair point. Yeah.
It was really when she started like making the. I mean, so first of all, right off the bat, I knew it was her because I had saw reports early on, like before the show released, that Ashley was going to be in the show,
Right.
probably as Ellie's mom. So I was keeping my eye out for it. But even if I didn't visually recognize her, as soon as she made a noise, I was like, that sounds just like Ellie moving a crate in the video game.
It's funny that we associate it with two completely different things. Pike's my favorite though, so that's where my brain went.
That's also my favorite on Vox Machina.
Yeah. So yeah. Well, I mean, because the best.
Yeah.
So clearly, this scene actually is not in the game.
No, it's not.
So this episode, this kind of scene that you get with her mom where you see Ellie being born, this is actually solving a mystery that has existed for a long time because in the games they never really nail down why she is immune. They kind of throw a little line in there about, the cordyceps in her has mutated in some way, but they don't really
explain why.
Explain like what happened. So here we actually get to see her being born. We know that her mom was bitten like as she was giving birth, basically, and that's kind of how this came about. And we see Marlene come in, and the heartbreak just starts immediately here.
All like right off the bat.
The whole
right in the face.
Yeah, the whole episode. Loren, what did you think about this opening?
The opening was good. It was a super hard decision, like having female friends that I've known for, many, many years. To do what Marlene did, I don't know if I'm capable of.
I shoot any of you in a heartbeat, except you, Loren. I would shoot either of you.
So, when my husband and I first started dating, there was like the zombie movie craze, right? And he asked me on like our second date, he was like, if you were bit by the zombie, would you tell me? And I was like, no, because you're going to kill me. And he was like, I don't know if we can get married. And it was, that's literally like.
That's fair.
I mean, like, that's endangering me and the rest of the people around us. If you don't say something.
Yeah, just for the record, if we get in a zombie apocalypse and any of you get bit, I am gonna kill you immediately. Like, just
bang, bang, bang,
just
bang,
so
bang,
you
bang.
know, like, yeah.
Honestly, I would want you to. Like,
same.
I don't want to live that way.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I don't want to. I
Maybe
definitely don't want to turn into a cordyceps zombie.
No.
Maybe I was immune. You don't know because
That's
you killed
a fair
me.
point.
Well, okay. We can chain you up, wait a few days, and then once you turn into a zombie, then we'll kill you.
Okay, fantastic.
If that's
No.
what you want.
Like he was talking about like the second he saw by Mark, he was like yeet.
In this version of it, in Last of Us version, yeah, for sure.
Because you don't know when you're gonna turn. Like it could be 2 hours, it could be 2 weeks. We don't know.
I think it's minutes in the show, isn't it?
When the show, if it's a superficial bite, like the one that, what's her name? Anna, the mom.
Yes.
Anna.
Yeah,
Okay,
Anna.
yeah. Like a bite on the leg like that. According to like the show's own lore, I think it would be like anywhere from 12 to 24 hours.
Yeah.
Like when Sam got bit.
Yeah.
In episode 5.
That's right. It was like overnight.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
And then I think that also explains because there was a bit of a time jump when she gets bit and delivers the baby.
Marlene
yeah.
falling.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which she's when Marlene comes in, she's like got the knife to her neck, like waiting on the. I was like, that's a bad way to go. Like,
Right.
like this ain't the game. You don't know that kills them. Like,
Oh, that's true.
Oh man,
that's
yeah.
fresh. You don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, man.
I mean, I guess it's better than eating your kid. Like that's
Well,
probably preferable.
The animals do it all the time, though.
I don't know that makes it any better.
Oh,
You know how we talk about
Animals
the
lick their own
heartlessness
buttholes, too,
in you,
like-
buddy? Like it's coming out. It's showing a little bit.
Oh, excuse me for wanting to be the logical one here. But that does kind of bring up a fun discussion. It's my turn to do one of your biggest podcasts now.
This is a symbol. This is your podcast too. I'm just facilitating. Just because my banner's in the background.
Oh, that's all that matters.
Okay, all right.
That's all that matters. It's all hits.
But that got me thinking about I think there is like a risk-reward ratio here because now we technically know a roundabout way that immune people are born. I think we can run that risk in the apocalypse. You gather up all the pregnant women, right? Have them just about to give birth. You bring in the chained up clicker.
Why's it got to be a clicker?
Bro, well, yeah, get a normal runner. Don't.
Okay, fine.
Because the clicker is gonna kill them.
Bring in a bloater and get everybody at one time.
Oh.
bring in a bloater. Like they just got so the only bloater in the show is that giant one that we
And
saw.
he's still out there.
He is still out
He
there.
is still out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's right. They just think they give birth. Like, sure, the mother's dying. That's terrible. But you bring birth to like a whole generation of immune kids.
Yeah. I mean, logically, it makes sense.
Logically, morally, not so much.
Out of everyone sitting here, you're the last person I was going to be like, yeah. I'm just over here
like, oh man, like I think me and Caleb are on the same page there. Like, ooh, okay,
Well,
no.
Loren and I will make the tough decisions.
Yeah.
this is every Umbrella Corp fucking like all hands meeting ever.
Yep.
I am nothing if not a lady of logic.
I mean, I understand logically where we're coming from.
Oh, yeah.
I just want everyone to realize how horrific this is.
It's like, we ain't stopping you. We're just letting you know it's bad.
Yeah, we said it was real bad. Holy hell.
I guess on a more serious note, though, like the show is kind of full of moral quandaries like that.
It
It is.
is.
That's a fair point, yeah.
There's a lot of people that like have to kill their friends or significant others.
Eat people.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Well, I mean, even going back to what I consider to be the most heartbreaking moment of probably the whole show, the Henry and Sam moment. That was just like, yes, logically that was absolutely the right thing to do, but like that whole scene was just horrible. Like the long lasting ramifications that it has on our protagonists, I guess if you want to call them that, they're the main characters. So.
So I guess now the question, we gotta get a little in depth for you, sir.
oh,
So my son,
Yeah.
your squire, as you call him.
My squire first, your son second.
Okay,
Yes.
so if he happened to get bit and turn into one of these things, would you feel anything if you had to kill him?
It's not about feeling; it's about doing.
Just answer the question.
Just answer the question.
First of all,
Because we're going to show this to him.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
First of all, which one of these cameras is on me? Squire?
There's only one camera.
One camera. One.
I didn't ask how many there were.
So if that one's not on you, then you're not.
But we can move on though because
Oh my gosh.
I'll make sure he knows.
Yeah.
he knows. We discussed this.
Oh, you guys have a zombie apocalypse
Exactly.
Knight/Squire plan?
Yeah.
So
Of
far
course.
off the rails. All right. So after we get the heartbreaking scene with Ellie's mother and her being born, so we know from this that like Marlene has kind of kept an eye on her because she kind of you could tell that Marlene did not believe her when she was just like, I cut the cord before I got bit, and she was just like, did you though?
Bitch, please.
Yeah. So Marlene kind of suspected her immunity in general, and it turns out she was right. But then we get to go to like present day where we see Joel and Ellie and they're kind of traveling. I really love these scenes leading up to where they get the like flashbang grenade thrown at them or whatever.
Yeah.
With the giraffes, that was so beautiful. Like,
Yeah.
from an artistic standpoint.
It was like this giraffe is like, man, this pandemic's like the best thing that ever happened. I mean, these fucking people running around out here. I got this whole place to myself. He was probably in a zoo before.
They had to put this scene in the TV show. I would have like deducted 3 points if they didn't put this in the game. I mean, the TV show.
Yeah.
So it's a scene from the game.
Yeah, it's a really impactful scene. But see, like, what I loved about the way they built this up, though, before, Ellie sees the giraffe for the first time, like, you can definitely tell that she is still battling with the events of what happened in the last episode.
And
Oh, God, yeah.
And before that,
yeah.
like, but I mean, obviously the more fresh one is almost being eaten and or sexually assaulted. That'll have a lot of damage up there. So you can definitely tell that she is battling with that, and Joel is trying his best to bring her out of it.
Yeah, as a parent of a teenager, you can probably go along with when you start getting those one-word answers and that lack of eye contact, something's going on, and it's up to you to figure out what the heck is wrong.
I really love the juxtaposition here. So if you look to maybe the third or fourth episode anytime they're like traveling, it's the opposite, right?
Usually,
Joel
yeah.
is just sitting there. He's giving the one-word answers. Ellie's like, "Hey, so what about this?" And he's like, "No."
Yes.
What about this? And then this is the opposite, where
Your cargo.
yeah,
Yep.
your cargo, and I mean, now we're getting the opposite, where Ellie is like, you can tell that she's processing all this trauma, or maybe not processing it, trying not to process it. And, Joel is kind of like, oh, hey, what about this? Remember this one time where this happened? And he's really trying to, like, let the walls down and kind of let her in some, but it's kind of too late at this point. Like, she's, like, ever since Sam's death, I mean, obviously, like, her trauma really probably started with Riley, which
Right.
she reveals
Yeah.
here.
But I think she was starting to heal from that, and then all this shit started.
Yeah, like she had Joel, she had a safe place, like she had a person in her life that was special, and then like the stuff with Sam happened, everything that happened in the last episode with the creepy religious people and all that, like I mean,
It's very full circle because like Joel was, very on guard in the beginning because of everything he had recently been through. And she was so much more open, and yes, she had dealt with the Riley situation, but like kids are young, they're pretty bounceable when it's only just like one thing. But now that we've gone full circle, it's like she has almost the more trauma, you know what I mean? And now he's trying to, like you said, pull things out of her.
yeah, I mean that Pedro Pascal delivers these lines with like just perfect, like tone and everything. When he says it wasn't time that healed it, like that shit broke me. I was just like, oh,
Dude.
yeah. So because he's looking at her and he's like, you're what healed me, and she like, it's funny, like 4 or 5 episodes ago, she would have been probably like overjoyed to hear that come from him. But like, if you go back to when they're like when they're in the town, what's the town? Jackson.
Yeah, Kansas City Station.
No, the one that his brother lives in.
That's Jackson.
Yeah, where they have the scene where she's like, I'm not I'm not her or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Like that version of Ellie would have been overjoyed to hear him say that, but here
Yeah.
she's just kind of cold,
Yeah.
Yep. Because she's probably just thinking, when am I going to have to kill him? Like, when's he going to get it? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's not immune.
he's not immune. She's the only one immune. And it's like that thing where it's like, do you want to live forever? Well, not if I'm going to have to watch every single person around me die.
Well, this is what Wolverine drinks.
Yes, there you go.
Among other
example.
Like,
Yeah.
dying.
Yeah, Logan is a great example of like someone who's dealt with their trauma in positive ways. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Very, very healthy.
He's who I, take influence from.
That explains everything, actually.
Quite a bit, yeah. No.
As someone who's never seen Logan, I don't know the reference. However,
Oh, we were being
I do
super
know
sarcastic.
Well, yeah. Wolverine in general is,
kind of
Yeah.
like an anti-hero kind of character, right?
yeah, at best. Yeah. When he's not like brutally killing people and whatnot.
I mean, plenty of people brutally kill people, as we maybe see here in this episode. But
That's
that
true.
doesn't mean.
Would you describe Joel as a hero or anti-hero?
He's certainly Ellie's hero.
Yeah.
But
No, I would say he's heroic.
even if Ellie didn't want to be saved.
We don't know that.
Yeah, that's the thing. We actually don't know that.
Yeah.
So
We don't know that she knew going into that procedure that she was going to die in that procedure.
yeah. And let's get into that, right? So they get to this facility, whatever. They don't know that they're being followed, but they get hit with like this. I think it's a flashbang.
Yeah, it's
I
Yes.
love that shot also.
That shot was tremendous.
yeah, phenomenal.
You just kind of see it like, and like I play a lot of Call of Duty, right? So I was like,
You done, son?
press F to throw it back. So they go down. I mean, obviously, like you played the game, you know that this is probably what's happening. And he wakes up, and Marlene's in the room, and
This is where she fucked up.
right,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
This is her.
She shouldn't have She shouldn't have told him. Like she
Yeah.
just shouldn't have told him.
This is her Reed Richards moment, you know.
Right.
Yeah, Black Bolt can destroy you with one word from his mouth. You know, this is. Let me explain the entire plot here. Yeah, so Marlene's like, hey, she's in surgery, and Joel is immediately not having it. What's she in surgery for? And Marlene's kind
It's
of
like, keep in mind, this is right after she said, Ellie's fine.
right.
Right.
And I'm like, whoa, hold the fuck up. What you mean? why is she in surgery then?
She's fine right now.
That's a real relative term.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. She's just on an operating table where they're gonna cut into her brain. Like it's fine. So this scene is really like the moral like conundrum of the entire show, right? So I'm gonna go around the table and we'll talk about it. I'll start with you, Oz. What do you like? So, what do you think about this entire thing? Like, what do you do in this situation? If you're Joel,
The same thing.
yeah,
I'm a father, and while yes, saving humanity is a noble goal, however, even if they are able to synthesize this from my child's corpse, how long will that take to actually go into effect? No, I'm sorry, I'm just not doing it. Especially if I've lost a child before this.
right. Would it change it for you if they had given Ellie the choice and explained exactly what was going to happen?
I will say yes, because I definitely do that with my kids. Like, I make sure they understand what the choices that they are facing and how to handle their choices once they have made that choice. So I usually let them do their own thing when it comes to stuff like that. Most of the stuff they have to worry about is like, well, I get my hair dyed or, anything like that. So I will say that, yeah, it would have changed it at least a little bit in my mind. But at the same time, like, I still taking a few of the motherfuckers just with me just because.
I think that might be evil.
Yeah, that
I'm cool with it right now.
That descended into chaotic evil really, really fast, actually. Yeah, okay.
Come and get you a shirt that says, fuck them fireflies.
Fuck them fireflies.
That's got to exist. That has to be.
It has to exist.
Moving right along, we talked about this a little bit off mic, Loren, but what do you do in Joel's shoes here?
Oh, I am fucking a blazing glory to get to my child. Like, there's no way in heck. I don't even care if they had told her and she agreed to it and it was like video recorded and I saw that they got, not my kid.
Okay. All right. Got it.
No.
Death all around, yes.
So another question then: do you think it changes it for Joel if they had given Ellie the choice?
I absolutely do. Honestly, just from what I've seen, not playing the video game, just Joel's character development in the show, I feel like if they would have told him, hey, she knew she was going to die, I feel like I would hope he would make different choices.
Oz is shaking his head down there.
No, you think that no matter what, he was going
Joel's
to...
fucking shit up.
I think if they just told him, no. But I think if he's in the room when she makes the choice, maybe. But I don't know, and I don't know.
You saw how numb he went. Like he just he was on autopilot at that point.
Yeah.
No, that's trauma. Like that is a trauma response in a nutshell, right there.
Was he like in the special forces or something though? Because that was borderline unrealistic. How many of these dudes he took down?
If I'm not mistaken, Tommy was the one that was in the military.
Tommy was
but after the initial outbreak, they became
mercenary type guys,
like kind of like that, like the bandits and stuff like that. So like I'm sure Tommy taught him a lot.
Yeah. Ace,
yeah.
I'll pose the question to you. So. What do you do in this situation if you're Joel? First off.
All right. Same scenario. It's probably gonna be a clickety clack. Let's get back. But
I'm actually surprised by that answer from you.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, and that's because like I'm not gonna let you kill a kid over a possibility, and not to go further down this rabbit hole, but
no, that's why we're here.
Okay, cool.
Go down the rabbit hole.
You have the only person in 20 years that you've been able to find who is immune, and your first instinct is let's kill this person. We've had about 3 hours to think about this. Let's kill this person. Dissect their brain, and that is your immediate response. It's not like they kept her there for tests or studies over the course of days or weeks. They did this almost immediately.
Well, I mean, I will say that Marlene knew So like she's been thinking about it all the way up until this point.
You can't run test on thoughts and theories.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
They just jumped to
Yeah.
murder.
Yeah, I mean, like murder. Yeah.
Well, I will ask you the other question. Do you think it changes it for Joel if Ellie agrees to do this?
If I'm Joel,
For Joel in the show. So if Ellie had agreed to it.
oh no, well, the answer's gonna be no regardless.
Yeah.
But it would be a no for Joel because as much of what this decision he does is to save Ellie, it's also admittedly a little bit selfish because he doesn't want to lose another child.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a no for me because I'm all for 14-year-olds having their agency, but I'm not gonna. I wouldn't let a 14-year-old sign up for fucking war, so I'm not gonna let a 14-year-old sign up to.
If I'm being honest, anybody I'm close to agrees to this shit, I'm gonna tell them no.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter if they're a child, my child, or not. If I'm close to them, I'm not gonna let. I'm gonna do whatever I can to stop them.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm not a parent, right? So I had to think, like, okay, if it was someone that I really care about, I would kill everybody. I would do exactly what Joel did.
Right.
Probably die in the process.
Yeah,
Because I'm
I am
not Joel.
no Joel.
That first guy would wreck my shit.
The two guys that were escorting me out.
Oh yeah, like I'm over here like I know this is Joel, and like he may not be the BA badass that he is in the game, but that motherfucker like. If I would have tried some shit like that, I would have got shot right in the head before I even moved.
Tripped and fell down the stairs and broke my neck.
I might would have got the gun away from that one guy, but that other dude would have killed me.
Like I would have tried some rush hour stuff, like, and I'd probably get shot by that point.
Shot myself.
Yeah. You try the rush hour thing and then just
Like,
oh
shit.
What the hell was that guy thinking?
and yeah, I don't think it changes it for Joel at all. Like, whether she agreed to it or not, because it's like a lot of you said, like, he does not want to lose another child. This is a trauma response for him.
Yeah, 100%.
The way they did it in the show, where like this eerie music comes on and like you just kind of get like echoes of the rest of the audio, and he's just cold. Like you see him go through and he's killing everybody, and like a lot of these people you can tell are not like trained security. These are like people that they just gave weapons to and were like, "Here, go to the hospital."
Doctor.
Oh yeah, especially the doctor.
As far as storytelling wise, this was it was very much better in my opinion than the game, because in the game you actually are still you. Like you're not like going through like this trauma response. You're just walking around, sneaking around, doing your thing.
I would give a little bit of pushback, and I would say whenever I played the game and get to that point, I always felt that Neil Druckmann and the creators wanted you to bring that tension, because I do every time I get to that point.
Oh, that's a fair point. That is a fair point.
See, I love it in the show, and this is where I actually really don't like the first game at all. I love the story in the first game up to this point, and then at this point it falls apart for me. It always has. Number one, the excuse they give in the game for like what they're gonna do, that you mentioned the procedure, is horrible. I'm just like, fucking science, medicine, nothing works that way. They're like, oh yeah, the cordyceps in her is mutated, so we're gonna crack her skull open and get it out and then look at it.
Yeah.
At least in the show they were like, we figured out why she's immune. We're going to replicate it. This is our plan. Like, it was at least a better explanation, even if it wasn't as plausible, right?
It's only marginally better for me. Like, it's still a poor excuse for a lazy execution of a plan.
Right.
I mean, like, I still don't think that you kill your only surviving test subject immediately.
Right, I agree. Yeah.
But I do feel like there's a big difference between pre-Jackson Joel and post-Jackson Joel.
Oh, yeah.
I think pre-Jackson Joel absolutely would have saved her no matter if she knew what was going to happen or not. I think post-Jackson Joel, seeing that there is life capable still. All he had seen for the last 15 years was this destruction. And then he goes to Tommy's camp. He sees that there are people that are having a decent quality of life. And maybe now they give him the choice, or they give her the choice. She says, go ahead and do it. I want to sacrifice for life. Having just come out of Jackson, he's like, that is, there is still a way to be successful in life. That's the only reason why I said he may have allowed her to do it if she could give him the choice.
The only counter I would have to that is that I think the reason he lies to her is because he knows that she would have chosen to save humanity, right?
Yeah,
And
she'd be pissed.
the lie, and I want to get to this, him lying to her, to me, is almost worse than him killing all those people. Like, because, as we all just said, that's exactly what we would do. But, like, him, like, the way that they ended the episode where she's like, swear to me everything you said was true, and he's like, I swear, or whatever, and they just went to the credits, I was like, fuck.
See, and I disagree. I think as a parent, I unfortunately have been in positions where I've had to lie to my kid. And to save her feelings, to save her self-confidence, to save her whatever. Like, let's say there's a family member who doesn't agree with the fact that I'm a single mom and she was born out of wedlock. Well, why does this person not come around? Well, Sophia, they're sick. Well, they, whatever. So I do, think that the lie is to protect Ellie.
Yeah, but he's not lying to protect her. He's lying to protect him. He's lying to protect his relationship.
Yeah,
with her.
honestly, like that I think that's more the accurate statement. Is like he is definitely lying to save face for himself because like he definitely knows that she would have chose otherwise.
See, I actually give pushback to that a little bit.
Okay.
That she would have definitely chosen, and that's part of the more ambiguity is that we don't know.
We still don't know. Yeah.
Well, and going back to your point about the game too, like I also feel like in the game you should have had a choice. Like in a TV show, it's fine.
Yeah.
This is what this character I've been watching chose.
Yeah.
When you're playing as Joel in the game, it's like you should have. I always felt like you should have had the choice whether you wanted to kill all these people or not in the game because you are playing as Joel, and there's a certain amount of agency I think in a video game that's assumed. And so them to take that out of the player's hands always felt terrible to me. And that's why I was just like, this always would have worked better as a TV show for me than as a video game.
Fair point.
Does make sense.
Because like there should have been an ending where, he just you should have been able to choose if you're playing, you're playing 40, 50 hours as Joel.
I would assume that having never played the game, I didn't realize that wasn't a choice that you were given.
Nope.
I guess because the game would have just ended or
I was
something.
gonna say, what's the game look like with the choice that you like? All right, Joe, just you Bruce Banner your way and walk down the road and hitchhike. Like, what's that ending look like?
I mean,
Yeah.
Is there a high action set piece to match the same tension?
see, as a dungeon master, what I would do.
Yeah,
Illusion of choice.
What I would probably do is I would probably cut to like a scene of Joel like walking down the road, and like as it goes on, like you like time lapse it, and you like kind of see him getting older and like society like being built back up like around him.
Well,
You can't play game 2 now.
That implies that the cure works.
Right. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. Well, yeah, but I mean,
Because then it's like, well, now I definitely know which decision is the right decision to make.
Right, of course. Yeah, and they didn't. I get that they didn't do it because they didn't want that, right? They want us to be sitting here, 10 years later, talking about what was the right choice.
Well, again, no spoilers, but they want us to think that until they put out the second game. They were like, no.
Yeah. You being like, and then the second game doesn't happen. I'm like, okay, so this is clearly the right way to go. Yeah, I've told you that it's bad.
Yeah, you told me you were like, I don't know if I'm going to watch season 2. Depends on how long they follow the second game.
I have not played 2. I think I'll have to play it before the next season just so I have the reference. But
well, they have confirmed over the last couple of days because they want people to come back that number one, the game 2 is going to be more than one season, and number 2, that they're going to make significant departures from the game. I really can't elaborate anymore on that, but
well, see, I was about to make a actual statement, but someone who doesn't know the story,
no
so I
spoilers
can't.
for the games. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I cannot elaborate and don't wish to, but I think if they want people to watch the show.
I was going to say, if the game was that poorly received, they are going to have to make changes to the storyline.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I will say this in the most unspoiler free way I can. I will say that the Joel from this show, I feel like certain things from the second game made more sense if it happened to this Joel, in my personal opinion.
I agree because
I will say that
they do a to make like they pull an Ant-Man 2 right in the second game where it's just like all of a sudden Ellie is the most capable person in the universe, and Joel is the most inept, incompetent
that.
person. Yeah, it's the worst, and it's just like
That,
I don't think they'll do that in the show either, though.
that happened in a book I recently read. Then I reviewed it, the Final Girl Support Group, where like this character in the beginning of the story is making crazy choices because she's a hypochondriac. She survived some trauma shit, and she lives in like a caged apartment with like a panic room. And then by mid book, she's making like outrageous choices to like save somebody, and I'm like,
Yeah.
When the character has to change just to fit the mode of the story that the writer has in mind, it's a fail whenever
absolutely, because
I agree with you.
it's generally not done smoothly or flawlessly.
May the plot be with
May
you.
the plot be with you.
All right, so I'm gonna go around the table again, and let's go like we'll talk the whole season here. So like best moments from season 1, and we're gonna do worst too. We'll do
Okay.
like biggest issues when we come back
Gotcha.
around.
Man, this hurts me to say, but this is kind of a hot take for a lot of people on the internet. But go figure, a hot take on the internet. But my favorite moment, I think, I don't know, man. I think my favorite moment may still come from episode 7. I love that. I love that episode as a whole. I love that bit of DOC from.
It's the Ellie flashback episode with Riley.
The
Yes.
Ellie and Riley episode. I really, really love that episode. A lot of people view this nothing but superfluous or just filler, but I'm like, I think there's a lot of character study there, especially with the character who we still have with us. So I thought it was a very important episode. But my favorite moment from that episode actually comes from. All right, so couple moments, but one of them is the 4 wonders that Riley wants to show Ellie, and then it has to be changed to 5 because Ellie is mesmerized by an escalator.
Yes.
I mean, that's a fair point. Like,
I kind of dug that moment because there's a bit of innocence in a world that's just full of darkness and shit, and to see this kid being over the moon over a fucking escalator is tremendous. I know that's not like the not the heaviest harp pull moment or whatever, but that's a great moment. But then of course also the moment when Riley says to Ellie, "Let's just go crazy together," be all poetic and shit. I love that moment as well too, and along with that, I love the moments that we did not get. I love that we didn't see what that looked like as the hours continued on.
And that moment lets us more.
Yeah, there was a lot of that, I think, with this show. I will actually say, talking about favorite moments, throughout the show as a whole, they were so good with being very conservative about how much they put the infected in, because it's just like, oh, is that a zombie show? And it's just like, no, it's not. The cordyceps infection is just a plot device. Like, it is a background thing for how this world, forms. But, like, this is not a zombie show per se, because, like, there's several episodes where there's, like, 1 infected, maybe 0. There's actually episodes where there's none at all. And, I think that really goes to, like, this is a show about,
human nature.
Yeah, about human nature, about character growth. And, I'm not here just to shit on, like, The Walking Dead, but it's the most popular example. It's just, like, everything they tried to say in that show, like, this show just knocks it out of the park, whereas that one is just like, hey, we have this point we're going to make, but here's zombies and we're going to fight them. Like, that was just about every episode of that show, whereas this one, it's just like, somebody on the internet made the comment of, like, if this was Walking Dead, Frank sits down to play the piano and then, like, zombies coming through the windows, So, I think that maybe not a specific moment, but just how well the show handles, like, less is more. Because they obviously they could have, rather, showed her killing Riley, but instead it was much more impactful for them to just end the scene. And it's not just gore for the sake of gore. And then later on to have Ellie have to confess it to Joel was much more powerful than if they had just showed it. So, Loren, best moments.
Best moments. I really loved episode 7 as well as a nostalgia point because, I felt like the games and the mall, it all looked very, like, from my youth as well, you know what I mean? So I love that. One of my favorite moments will always be I'm Not Her, though. Like,
yes.
that is such a good episode and such a good moment. That's the other episode that I thankfully reviewed here is my favorite episode.
Yep.
It's the one I got to review with you. And I like episode 3 just because, like you said, this show is not necessarily about infected or zombies, but about human nature. And I love dystopian stories because it makes you put yourself like, how would I act? How would my neighbor act? And I loved getting into all the different ways that he like protected his home and like continued to farm or whatever.
Yeah.
I thought that was so intelligently done.
And, you know, like Joel kind of points out, like, society fell in like 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, it's like...
My lows...
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. My only lows are, I felt like there was a lot of side quests at certain points. Like, and I think I've talked to you about that off mic. Episode, probably 8 was not my super favorite episode. I know why they had to have it, to show the human nature, to show this, but I felt like it really pulled away from what we were doing. And then there was the episode 2 with Henry and Sam, where it felt like a side quest. And so it wasn't my favorite, but I did love that they were showing so much, like,
Yeah.
the humanity.
I mean, episode 4 is a low point for me. I think
Yeah.
I still gave it a decent score because, like, it's just such a beautiful, well-done TV show in general. It's very well produced and, like, the casting is great. But, like, if there was any episode to me that felt like it shouldn't have been there, it was 4. And I really thought 4 and 5 should have just been one long episode. Because it's like, 4 is basically them getting to Kansas City and then you see Henry and Sam at the end.
Yeah.
And it's a short episode, and you're just like, this should have just been one episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It should have.
You know, they really act as a part 1, part 2 type deal. And it's like, the show's got a weird episode count. Either do 8 or 10. Don't do 9. I don't know about that. Yeah, we want even numbers only here. Like, you can't do 9. What about you, Oz?
So favorite moments. This is actually a scene from the game that I felt they nailed. It was, I believe, episode. It was where they were in Jackson.
Okay.
And it's that scene between Ellie and Joel where like he's trying to like leave her with Tommy, and like it's like everyone like that line that she says, everyone who I've cared about or loved has fucking left me. Everybody except fucking for you. And like that moment always gets me, even in the game. So like seeing it on the screen, like the way they nailed it to me was like one of my favorite moments. Let's see. And of course, like I'm gonna have to go straight up, you know, action movie buff, and the fucking bloater coming out of the ground.
Oh, that's amazing.
An amazing moment, scene, the whole deal. Like it coming out of the ground, that dude just trying to like take it down with, you know, but not to nothing. It just gets blown to pieces.
The bloater's interesting. I think we will see it again
Of
because
course.
they've kind of the showrunners have said like this bloater will never be killed. Like, and they've kind of hinted that maybe there's just the one, right? Like that there's not multiple ones.
Interesting.
There's just this one kind of in the show's world. But I mean, we would find out about that in a potential season 2 as well, probably. So
Yeah. If there's like one thing about, you know, game 2 that I like, it is we already mentioned like the combat.
the
Combat's
gameplay
very-
is very good.
Very intuitive, very good, including the crafting and upgrading system. It's very smooth. But there is like one new enemy that they introduced that I really, really enjoyed. And like, man, for a brief moment, like, this is really engaging.
That's the Rat King or whatever.
The
it was.
Rat King,
Yeah.
you took it from me, yeah.
Yeah.
The Rat King, I love that boss fight.
And yeah, it was like it's like just a bunch of fucking cordyceps rats or whatever.
Yeah, that kind of mutate together on top of a, I think it was like on top of a clicker, and then like over time it just mutates and becomes
Fucking
a Rat King.
horrifying.
Yeah.
That is pretty scary.
Yeah. And I'm sure that they'll do that in the show. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, they kind of, I mean, they kind of have to.
Right.
It'd be fucking horrifying.
Yeah.
And nobody mentioned the pilot. I thought the pilot was excellent
Oh,
too.
yeah.
That really was a great episode to hook you for this season.
That episode is like, we're going to explain everything about this world, and like it's such a good introduction to that world. You know, it's like you watch that pilot and you immediately know if you want to keep going or not.
Yes.
Or maybe you don't want to keep going, but you have to.
Yeah.
That
Right?
was
Oh.
kind of where I was in after that pilot was because I don't do a lot of sad shows. I don't do a lot of trauma shows just because there's enough of that bullshit in real life. Like I don't want to watch something that's going to give me the sads. So I watched that first pilot episode. You had told me I had to watch till episode 3.
Yeah.
And I
Although
was
you cut it
like,
off after that. If you
right. And I was like, this is really good, but do I want to put myself through this?
It's not for the faint of heart.
I really enjoyed how I think it was maybe the first 3 episodes gave us like a bit of a flashback imagery to something that happened prior.
Mhm.
Like at the beginning of episode 1, we saw like the 70s talk show with the
Yes.
two guys talking about the cordyceps.
Yeah.
And I think episode 2 we get Jakarta, in
I
India.
love that
Yeah.
scene.
And we get like a different one, I think, for episode 3. I don't remember. Oh, yeah, Frank, obviously. We get,
Yeah, like it's
the
like
build
the
of
build
Frank.
up was
Yeah. And so I really enjoyed that. I wish we had gotten more of that. Like if every episode
I
had
agree.
did something like that.
I would have watched a whole series on the Jakarta stuff, like the
Yeah.
initial day 1 outbreak stuff.
Mhm.
You know.
How do you juxtapose that? Like what that researcher, what she was saying, like bomb the city. There's nothing we can do. Do you think there's anything to read between what she said and then the Fireflies' outlook here at the end, where they're saying we have a cure? I read it as like there is no such thing as certainty.
There's not. I mean, if we want to get into the science of it, like antifungals are hard for us to produce like right now at the height of our society because the biology of fungi and our biology are so close. Like we have tons of different antibiotics because their biology is not the same as ours, so it's easy for us to produce it. But it's harder to kill fungi like that, without hurting the human. So like that's why it's like she's like, no, there's no vaccine. Like, what are you talking about? No, just kill everyone. Like, there's no, bomb the city. You're right. Yeah.
Antibodies itself is such an interesting thing to study because you've got people who become antibiotic resistant as well.
Yeah.
Like if you've taken so much of an antibiotic as a human, your body will change and it will no longer be effective.
Yeah.
And it's just really, really interesting stuff.
It is, yeah. I mean, I want to know like what how many people Googled cordyceps like before and after this show existed.
That's actually really cool information.
Yeah, it's probably a huge spike, like because it's a real thing. I mean,
It is a
It
real
is.
thing, yeah.
and that little talk show at the beginning is like completely realistic. It's completely rooted in science. Like the only reason that this could not happen is because like they can't survive in our bodies, right?
Mhm.
Like it's the body temperature though. Yeah. Which apparently giraffes are, they're good.
It seems like most animals are good.
Yeah.
Yeah, except for rats, apparently.
Oh yeah,
Good
yeah.
to know.
You know
Yeah.
how many of those mushrooms they probably ate? How many of those cordyceps,
Rats and plagues have a.
Just
Just
Yeah.
out there having the best
That's
trip
what
of
they
their
do.
lives.
That's what they do. That's what they do.
What about low points for you, Ace? What do you?
Low points for me, and man, I don't say this to step on like your beautiful good point that you had, but I do wish they had done more with the infected. While I do agree that this is not a show that is about them, I do think that they should have been featured just a tad bit more.
I'm gonna piggyback off of that a little bit actually because like I definitely feel like it wasn't as much of a threat,
yeah, it's like, do we really need this cure?
right? Like,
And see, I would disagree. If it had more infected in it, I probably would have quit watching because I don't like that kind of jump scary, like violent stuff.
It's a threat in fucking Kansas City right now. That shit is gone.
Yeah, it's like they kind of dumped their load in that episode. And we got some great shots from that.
oh yeah,
And then it was kind of like after that, you might see one here, then another one the next episode. And I was like, man, if I hadn't played the game, I would almost forget that, oh yeah, these things are still out here.
right.
And I coupled that with the fact that the whole network idea with the tendrils or whatever, we see that in one episode and it's never really brought up again.
Nope.
Yeah.
I kind of wish that just did a little bit more with that. And again, to have at least 2 more seasons to,
Well,
go down on that.
It does get brought up in episode 7 in the Left Behind
Mm.
because that's how the zombie wakes up. that kills Riley. So they did bring it. They did circle back to it.
I have to ask. Oh, go ahead. No,
Oh,
first.
no, I'm sorry. As I said, they did, I guess, technically circle back to it in like just kind of a weak sauce kind of way. Because one time they do it and the whole swarm comes in. This time they just kind of disturb this one guy taking a nap.
Well, he's probably the only zombie in the QZ. You know what I mean? Like,
If I'm not mistaken, in the actual DLC, wasn't there
There's
a lot? There was a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, of course, yeah.
But which, honestly, in that moment, I actually enjoyed the fact there was only one. Because,
I
like...
would have liked the chase scene.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Wait. You want to add a chase scene to something?
In this show?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This ain't Aquaman 2.
I was saying, if you never listened to the show, the man hates chase scenes.
This ain't Howard the Duck.
Right? This ain't Howard the Duck.
You had a point you were going?
Yeah, I was gonna say, in the game, how difficult are these things to kill? Because, like, literally a woman in labor kills one, a teenage girl kills one in the show, so...
So there's difficulty settings in the game, if I recall.
Right.
So yeah, it depends on what you got it set on.
I feel like they're set on pretty
Yeah,
easy
let me
in
put it
this
like
show.
When I played the game, Joel died a lot more times than he did in this TV show.
Oh, God.
The clickers, I would say, are way worse in the game.
Yeah.
The bloater is stronger in the show.
Absolutely. Yeah.
100%. They went full tilt with that bloater.
Yeah.
If I could avoid all the bloaters in the game like they did in the show, absolutely.
Right? There was just so many.
But also, and another negative downside, we get to the last part of this TV show where Joel murders everybody. I don't see no flamethrower, Joel. What's your flamethrower?
Where's your flamethrower, man? 'Cause, like, you don't get one until the end of this game, and then all of a sudden, like,
And while it would have been ridiculous,
it would have been.
a morbid part of me really enjoyed that.
I actually did like how he's going through and he's like having to scrap the weapons like as he goes through. Like every time he kills somebody, he's basically having to change guns out because like they've kind of hinted that there's not a lot of ammo for these like bigger rifles and stuff out there. So I mean that was just a nice little tidbit they did to try to like remain in their own lore and everything.
But I do agree with you because, like, the human dead count to the infected dead count is, on this show, the human dead count is, like, way up there.
Well, and that's kind of one of the points is, like, the humans are the problem. Like, when society falls apart, Fedra, that they're more of an issue. The Fireflies are not these, like, noble rebellion fighters either, so... Like and probably the funniest moment in this show that doesn't have a lot of humor in it is the Bill and Frank scene where he's like you thought the government were all Nazis or whatever. He's like they are all Nazis. He's like well yeah now.
I think one of my favorite moments of that was like when Frank actually invited Tess and Joel over and he's like. What?
Like you invited people over on an open radio channel, Let's talk our major characters. So Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey here. What do you guys think about their like performances in this show?
I mean, honestly, hands down, they could. I can't think of like aside from de-aging Ashley Johnson to make her Ellie. I was trying to think of the word how to say that, but I just couldn't. So I think they did a phenomenal job. Like period. Like these two actors just embodied the characters very well for me.
Yeah, agreed.
For me as well. I mean, I have no reference point in the game, so like maybe if you were playing the game and you had somebody else in mind, but Pedro Pascal can do no wrong in my book ever.
Ellie,
and
I
like Bella Ramsey a lot too.
Yeah, Ellie in the game is picture Elliot Page's body with Ashley Johnson's voice coming out of it, and that's Ellie in the game.
Well, then that's very Bella Ramsey.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, that American accent, she's killing it.
From day one, as soon as I saw the casting, I was hooked. I was excited.
Right.
I didn't have any. Again, I don't know what people's issue is. I didn't have any problem with Bella Ramsey before I even saw her in the role. I had enough faith and confidence in her. And then, what's the name of the showrunner, the one that's not Neil Druckmann, Craig Mazin?
Yeah.
Craig Mazin. I don't know if you guys seen Chernobyl, but that's another Craig Mazin show, and that's what really got me excited about the Last of Us TV show. because Chernobyl was fantastic.
It was.
That sounds like you volunteering to come on the show later and review it. Wow, that's crazy. Right here on video, folks.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly what I just did. I'll double down on that and say I would be more than happy to do
Because
that.
I am going to watch it, so I might as well get the content out of it.
Right. That's true. Yeah, I'm down. Fantastic show. But so as soon as I saw all those names attached to this and then seeing the casting, like we've already discussed, Pedro Pascal can do no wrong.
He really can.
He can't. He's Narcos.
If,
Game
yeah,
of Thrones.
He is the internet's daddy.
He is
if a magical child needs to be escorted,
phenomenal.
Yeah, and Bella Ramsey, she lived up to my expectations. So for a lot of people, she surprised them with how good she was. For me, no, she did exactly what I thought she was going to do.
Same.
we're all Game of Thrones fans here.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
like, we knew that she was going to be amazing. I mean, she's, like, a really bright spot in Game of Thrones, you know, like,
She was the perfect Lady Mormont, too.
yeah.
Like, when I read that book, I pictured what Bella Ramsey portrayed.
Yeah, and I would even go so far to say, like, that I liked her better in the show than I did in the book, kind of because of her portrayal of the character.
No, I would agree.
Yeah, I mean, that she just did a great job here, and like the take on the internet, we've talked about this, is like it's a terrible take that she's not a great Ellie. So.
Yeah, like when I heard that, I was like, "That's a thing."
Yeah.
Like,
Who
I
would
like who like what small small dick energy people are out there saying some shit like this.
It's a thing on the net. Yeah, I mean,
Who were they suggesting?
They don't
for-
suggest anything.
they don't suggest
That's
anybody.
always it. You want to critique something, but you have no solution.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't know who they would have wanted. This man watched me leave a conversation entirely
Yeah.
because somebody was like, "Yeah, she was
He
terrible,"
told him that
and I just walked. I didn't say
I
anything.
actually-
I just turned around and walked off and got in my car and left. Like
I thought he was putting on the front, like he's gonna come back. No.
That motherfucker left.
yeah, I just left.
He's like, "What's up, bitch?" Like, okay.
Yeah, it's unacceptable. It's not a. It's unacceptable.
I do agree, Loren. Like, there's way too many people out there who point out that who give this massive critique with no solution. With that being said, Katie Sackhoff would have made a much better Captain Marvel than Brie Larson. I just want to put that out
There you go. See, you have a strong opinion, but you back it up with a solution.
Yeah,
I can
yes.
get down with that.
I really want to see that
Right.
now. For those of you who don't know, Katie Sackhoff is Bo-Katan in both in Mandalorian and in also any of the animated stuff that she's in, Rebels, Clone Wars. That's one of those rare instances where they make the animated character look like the person, just in case they ever have a live action version, and so that worked out really well.
It did, because she's awesome in Mando.
I think Marlene was very
Same thing.
Same thing.
Yeah,
Yeah. So like, yeah.
yeah, it worked out. So, yeah, I gotta say, like, yeah, that would have been a much better.
Right.
Like now I'm picturing that movie scene myself. Like, wow, that would have been so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you scoring this one, Ace? Put you on the spot.
The episode or the series as a whole?
Let's do both. Let's do. What are you gonna give the episode, and what are you gonna give season 1?
This episode for me was just damn near flawless. It's hard for me to say if this is my favorite episode, but I think that from balancing it from the video game adaptation aspect to the series finale of the TV show aspect and to wrapping everything up with these characters in the story, I think it's probably overall, I don't know if it's my favorite, but I think overall it's the best episode that they put out so far. Yeah, because there's no more right now.
Right.
I think as of now, I give this episode a 9.8, and I give the series as a whole 9 on the head.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had not thought about this episode until right now for some reason, even though I've had 24 hours to prepare for this. I completely agree with your season rating. I was gonna go for a 9 myself because like the issues that I have are just kind of nitpicky here and there, and like me having played the game and not been a big fan of it, and like the only reason I even watched the show is because of the casting, right, for the main two characters. Like, well, even though I don't love it, I gotta see this.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm gonna give this episode a 9.5 because I thought that they developed it from the game perfectly. and then they fix the things I have issues with. One of the biggest issues I have with the first game's plot. So yeah, I'm gonna go 9.5 for the episode and 9 for the season. Lauren, what you got?
Okay, so for the episode, I would give it a 9. Easy. Like, it's a great season finale. For the whole season, you guys, we have 2 whole episodes that were kind of in my 4 and 5, right? In my opinion. Out of 9, you have 2 episodes that aren't the best. I would go 8.5.
How dare you?
I know.
How dare you?
I knew I was going to be, but the highs are really high. Like episode 1, episode 3, episode 7, episode 9. They're great. But there are just 2 episodes in there that really just drug for me. Felt like a whole ass side quest. Didn't feel like it fed a whole lot into the long game on the story. So I would go 8.5. I couldn't give it a 9 when of some of the other shows I've given a 9 to.
Yeah. While I don't agree, you gave my favorite book a 10 recently, so you can do whatever you want.
I did give your favorite book a 10, and I do not give out 10s.
Yeah, I've never seen you give anything a 10.
Never. So.
Yeah. So it'd be like Ace giving a superhero movie a 10. Like that.
It's never happened.
It's never happened. No, not Endgame, not Infinity War, not Winter Soldier, nothing.
No.
Yeah.
No, for me to give a book a 10, it's a damn good book, and we're talking about Words of Radiance.
Yeah,
by
definitely.
Brandon Sanderson.
Of
Perfect
course.
book too.
His favorite book was written by Brandon Sanderson?
I know. That's
it's a
what?
shock. It's a shock.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Bro, you know Brandon Sanderson?
Not like personally. We have met a few times.
I was gonna say, yeah.
That Brando Sando?
Brandon said yeah. I mean, you know, Brandon to his friends.
Exactly.
Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor. So for me, the episode easily 9.5. Honestly, the only reason why I'd give it a 9.5 and not a 10 because everybody knows I love everything. Honestly, I felt it was a little rushed in some places. Like obviously the pacing could have been a little bit, stretched out a little bit, especially the kill scenes. Like him going through the hospital. I felt it could have been a little more dramatic, but
it was a short episode.
It did feel really short for me. But overall season, I'm actually going to kind of go with Loren a little bit here and go with an 8.9, not a full 9. And the reason why is we talked about the season low for me is like I felt like the cordyceps were not as much of a threat as they should have been. Like as a fan of the first game completely, I get anxiety from that game.
When you hear that clicking noise, it just...
No. It just sent the chill down your spine, man. No. And I didn't get that a lot. I got it in the few episodes where there's a good bit of them. We could have at least had more of them just kind of walking around as they're, and them just dodging them or something. I'm cool with that. It just didn't seem like the cordyceps were as much of a threat in the show as they were in the game.
Did they run into any while in traveling sequences?
No.
Surely they did.
Well, yeah, but not in the sequences we saw.
Right.
Well, also, you have that Joel is going to take them through areas where there's no humans. And so there's no humans there for the cordyceps to feed on, then the cordyceps aren't going to be there either necessarily.
Well, yeah, but there still should have been moments where we got at least a few more than we got. I'm not saying
I can agree with that.
I'm not saying give us Walking Dead levels of hordes of zombies.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm not asking for that. I'm just asking make it more of a threat because honestly, like I said, I think there's like 2 or 3 episodes where there were none.
I can think of a lot of things from the second game where they can take it out and just put fighting infected in. So
Yeah.
maybe they'll do that in season 2.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, that is our review. Let's plug some shit. Ace, I'm going to start with you because I know that you probably have everything planned out for like 6 months. So what do you got coming up shortly on Superhero Homies?
Well, within the next just couple of days under weeks, I'm actually going to be having this gentleman on to review his most anticipated superhero movie of the past 10 years, Shazam 2, Fury of the Gods. That's right. That movie is coming out. And, people are so hyped for it, they already dropped a major spoiler online And so, yeah, Caleb was really excited to come on the podcast with me and review that one. Really looking forward to that. I'm also having the homie Joe on. And in just a couple weeks here also, he's going to be joining me to review a classic Daredevil story, Born Again. And we're going to talk about that and a little bit about what we hope and expect to see from the TV show coming out next year.
I think our communications regarding my hype for Shazam 2 may have...
I kind of downplayed it some.
I don't think we communicated effectively. Things get lost through text sometimes. So
yeah. Wait a minute, you didn't have your people contact his people?
Well, look, man. Anytime we do that, we have to involve the mouse, and I really don't like doing that.
That's fair.
Lauren, what you got? What you got coming up on Coffee and Lore?
So Wednesday I binge read Elsie Silver's Chestnut Springs series, which is fantastic spicy romance. There's 3 books out so far. Read them all in like a 48-hour period. So Wednesday we are dissecting all of the best parts of that. And then Saturday we are doing the top 5 book talk books that I hated. So.
Okay.
Nice.
A whole hatred episode.
Sounds like a page out of my book.
It does.
Right? I don't have those books.
Yeah. Well, you should do an episode just where it's just like the worst D&D experiences you've ever had.
That's a fair point. Matter of fact, we actually have an episode kind of similar to that coming up that he agreed on his podcast, the homie Ace, is going to join me to review the old school Dungeons and Dragons movie before the new one comes out. That's coming up before the end of the month. So keep a lookout for that.
Remember that thing about miscommunication? You
said no. I'm pretty sure that you did agree to that. I think that was on air.
On air. Yeah.
You can't see physically if you had me at gunpoint or not.
And I don't care. I don't care at all.
But also at the same time, at the end of this month, I'm going to have the homie Ace and Caleb on to review the upcoming movie, the new Dungeons and Dragons movie coming out in theaters.
Well, we don't know. We haven't seen it.
That's true.
I know. I'm hoping it's the good one.
The other one might be the good one.
From what I have heard some reviews, and I hear that like a lot of people are really enjoying this movie. So that's. I'm hyped for that.
They're gonna pull a Vox Machina, and the entire cast you see in the trailers gets killed in the first 5 minutes.
Yes,
and then they just drop another.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it's Liam Hemsworth.
Oh yeah.
No, please, no. Why can't they Chad Pedro Pascal?
I was literally about to say that.
A magical child needs to be escorted. I know who can do it.
And all of a sudden, here's Pedro Pascal with all his smolder and a blonde wig. I would love it. I would watch it.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
100%.
Yeah. I'm in.
Already sold.
Yeah.
I need to fan myself a little bit for that one.
Right. Yeah.
Did you watch his Hot Ones?
I have not watched it yet.
Oh my gosh.
I've seen that one. It's
good.
Also not a sponsor.
Unfortunately.
We have the same favorite song, which is Purple Rain by Prince.
That is a great song.
It is my favorite song of all time.
Song. Yeah, so I can't argue with that. As far as what we have coming up, we are going to be reviewing Mandalorian every week until it is done, so we'll have a review up for episode 3 later on this week. And we are tired. So when that gets done, we are going to wrap up season 6 with our antagonist episode, which I'm very much looking forward to. Now that Loren has read Words of Radiance, I can use the antagonist that I want to use as an example for that episode, since it won't be a mega spoiler. And he'll forget about it by the time he gets there, so it'll be fine.
Oh, I already know who you're going to pick.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
I was going to use the same person.
Yeah. So that being said, this has been a blast. Thanks for joining us.
Derailed a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this was, as far as derailments go with all of us here, this was pretty tame.
That's a fair point.
I would agree. I think we stayed pretty focused.
Yeah.
I'll try harder next time.
Well, that being said, thanks all of you for joining us as well. And this has been an Involved Review. And it's been Podcast Assembled.